Hey, y'all. Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra with Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine. We're taking center stage on the Own It platform. And today, y'all, our Authors Network Spotlight, it is definitely a spicy one. I'm going to go ahead and just bring on our special guest. Come on in, Miss
Hello,
Gale.
everyone. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. We have our naughty erotic architect, Ms. Gale Rucker, aka Camille, St. Charles, Mississippi, in the house today. And just a little bit of background of, just how Gail and I you have, been connected. Gail is one of the authors in the Becoming a Girl Powerhouse anthology. Really got a chance to get to know Gail, and also got a chance to get to know a little other side of Gail as well. And it is just amazing. I just cannot wait to just share what Gail has been up to in her literary work. So, Gail, please go ahead and just introduce yourself real quick to the audience, who you are, where you are from, and we'll go ahead and get on into the nitty gritty.
Good morning and greetings, everyone. My name is Gail. My author's name is Camille, St. Charles, Mississippi. I am nestled in irresistible Michigan. I am an author. I get to be an author, and I get to be part of this phenomenal group called Girl Powerhouse. I am just elated, overjoyed, and you can ask me anything. I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, I have been waiting for this. So, okay, we have it's called the Dessert Novella. Now, please, for our audience, can you just tell our audience what actually a novella is before we get into the Dessert Novella?
Well, a novella is the heart of the story. It's like you don't know all of the particulars that brought you to a scene. You're just right in the precipice. You're standing right on the crest inside of a novella. And that's when all of the fireworks, that's when the fun really begins for me. So that's how I write some of my stories, because some people are unconcerned about the particulars. They just want to get to the nitty gritty. I promised
Right.
Tiffany I was going to be a good little girl, so it's going to be politically correct today, boys and girls. But if by chance you wish to step over and really get to know me, step over to my website, and it'll take you wherever you want to go in the world of Camille, St. Charles, Mississippi.
So, what is the dessert novella? I know dessert novella. Believe me, I'm very happy to have the dessert novella in my life. Okay, but tell our audience what the dessert novella is and just kind of how you came up with that.
Well, I came up with the dessert novellas when my sister was in some form of fashion of crisis. I was in the process of eating dinner, and she called me with some song and dance and a sob story. So I sent my family on to eat, and I just sat there, and I was at my desk, and I was just nibbling away. And as she was telling me the sorrows of how she was involved with a guy who had a wife, a girlfriend, and they had my sister, and I had mingled over to my desserts, and I was like, "Oh, you're his dessert." And she said, "I don't know what you mean." I said, "Well, she's because she wants to be the wife. She thought that all the glory went to the wife." And I said, "Sweetie, all that glitters is not gold. You don't know the story behind what's going on in his life." I said, "But you know what? I'm going to write you a little story, and I'm going to form fit it just for you." And that day that we were talking, I was eating one of my favorite desserts, red velvet cake. So I just wrote her a nice little small introduction story of red velvet cake, and I gave it to her. She gave it to the gentleman. They read it together. They enjoyed one another behind the details in the story. And then he was requesting and wanted to know that I have any more. So I wrote her another one. And then I wrote another one. And then I just couldn't stop. So I write naughty stories, and I title them after world famous desserts. But you are right in the heart, right when it's getting ready to get good, when all of the pleasantries and all of that awkwardness it has been put aside. You're right at the meat and the potatoes, and some danger is about to show up in the sexual arena. That's dessert
Okay.
novella.
And I'm gonna have to just give my own personal experience with the
Your
dessert
own testimony. Is this a
Okay,
testimony?
my own testimony, y'all. Okay. Gail had sent me the link to the dessert novella, and I open it up. I'm driving in the car with my husband. I'm in the passenger seat, and I've got my earphones on. I got them kind of loud, but and I'm listening to this voice, and I'm just loving this voice, and I'm like, man, okay. And I picked the one. Well, you told me a couple to pick. I went ahead and I picked the pecan pie, right? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just listening and and then I'm grasping a pearl, and then I'm grasping another pearl, and then I'm like, whoo, it's getting a little hot up in here. I'm telling you, by the time we got to where we were going, I was like, you know what, babe, I just want to go home.
I have some unresolved issues that need to be addressed.
So I have to thank you because I just really appreciate, just the stories that I have heard. It is just so amazing. And just again, if you're looking for a way to just kind of spice it up a little bit, you definitely want to dig into the dessert novellas. That's for sure.
There, for enthusiastic listeners, you can't just be sitting there. You have to, your mind is going to take your mind on a journey. And each and every story is totally different, even though it's me telling you the stories. But each encounter is totally different. It's a nice slice of something new from each story.
So how did you manifest it into a cookbook?
Well, I thought it would be clever if because there's no such thing as a dessert. It wasn't a dessert novella. And then I said, you know what? I'm no chef, but for the sake of argument, I'd love to offer up a real recipe. So inside my dessert novella sweets cookbook, here it is right here. This is one of my babies, my dessert novella sweet cookbook. I will give you the beautiful picture of a lovely dessert that we are about to talk about. And after I show you the picture, then I give you the recipe on the other side so you can construct said dessert. And then the next page unfolds this delicious and elaborate story that's titled after the world famous dessert. I had to partner up with a chef because I am not a chef like that. I'm not a pastry chef. Okay. And I needed more so perfection than I can offer because that's not what I do. I can tell you a story, but sitting there and trying to make it with all of the ingredients, there's going to be a misunderstanding in the kitchen. So I just had someone partner up with me, and he was in charge of the pictures and the ingredients and the presentation, and I was in charge of offering you up a slice of something delicious and naughty, titled from the story, from the dessert.
Wow, I just love this whole concept. So do all the tales have an erotic thread running through them?
They have. Well, no need to lie. Sex is on the menu on side of each and every dessert novella. Somebody's getting done, but sometimes there is a comedic thread that runs through the story. So some of the times you're going to be laughing as these things are unfolding because the character is like, you won't believe what I'm doing right now or who I am with. So I wanted you to be aware, and I decided to make it a cookbook for adults, and I talk like adults talk. I'm not going to sugarcoat, and I'm going to make you aware that sex that's the desired destination. So therefore, that's what we are going to encounter and going to experience. So.
Well, I'm loving this conversation. We need to go ahead and cut to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with our naughty erotic architect, Miss Gale Rucker. Be right back. we are back. This is Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. And we have our Authors Network Spotlight with our naughty erotic architect, Ms. Gale Rucker, aka Camille, St. Charles, Mississippi. So, Gail, so with the dessert novellas, are there any dessert novellas that kind of have like any horror to them, like a little, like a little horror
A
feel to
little
it,
what
or
now? I'm sorry, I didn't
a
hear
little
that.
horror, like a little horror feel,
Oh,
like themselves to horror?
yes.
Yeah.
The yes. So it sort of scared me.
Hmm? Oh.
The story, when the story showed up, I wasn't intending to write a horror, but when it showed up, it definitely caught me off guard because I was like, I don't want to be a traditional, and everything can have a happy ending. And I'm thrilled
Mhm.
that sex is in the stories, but I put a little something in there that catches you off guard. And the story that's inside the Dessert Novella cookbook,
Yeah.
that's sort of a horror, is titled Homemade Banana Pudding. Homemade banana pudding. It takes you on a ride. It gives you a lot of twists and turns. It is a little longer. It's more so involved because so much is happening, and there are like 20 different people that
Yeah.
are woven together. But there is a nice story, and you have to read the first part to really enjoy what's going to happen at the end. So you have to possess all of that knowledge and information because the characters jump off the page just like you're sitting there talking to them, and they're explaining to you what's going on and what they're going to do. And that's when that story starts. And it was challenging at the end because the way I ended it, it is a horror. But the character says at the end, she said, you know what? I'm not going to say you're not going to worry about me about an assortment of things, but you won't worry with me about this. And I won't
Mm.
be eating desserts for the rest of my life. I'm good. She's like, no more. But it was so funny how she arrived at her destination and all the things that were presenting themselves because she felt as if nobody else was paying attention to all of the surroundings, but she was paying attention to the signs. But she got distracted because, someone pretty, a good looking man, caught her off
Mm.
guard. And that's our
Yeah.
weakness and our kryptonite
Yeah.
sometimes. That's our
It
kryptonite.
definitely can be.
Like guys say women is their weakness. Men are a lot of women's weaknesses, and men fascinate me. And even their anatomy just makes me so happy. So
Right.
but the story that I wove together with these characters,
Yeah.
these are middle-aged people, and things just start unrolling and presenting themselves, but it's funny as you're
Okay.
walking this destination with them. So I hope you might need to strap yourselves in for homemade banana pudding because it's a different little ride. It's not those sweet little delicate dainty little kisses. It's not none of that. Somebody's getting messed up. Some misunderstandings are going to show up, and there's going to be a lot of peculiar situations that show up inside that one story.
Juicy, juicy,
Homemade
juicy.
banana pudding.
Homemade banana pudding. All
When
right.
I
All
make that dessert for my husband, I find myself laughing hysterically because that's his favorite dessert. But I find myself laughing when I'm making this dessert. I was like, oh, if you only knew the horrors.
right. So, with all these stories, are any of them true?
I will neither confirm nor deny the stories. If you believe it to be true, have at it. If by chance you are unsure, I can neither confirm nor deny. I'm a storyteller. This is what I do all day, every day. I dream up concoctions, and
Right.
those are some stories that I I dreamt of 75 because I have 75 dessert novellas. Some of them are
Wow.
published, some of them are in audio books, and some of them are on my podcast. And
Yeah.
I'm working on my next release of my new Dessert Novella Suites Volume 2.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love
so
it. Love it. So tell me, because we do have to get into a little bit of the health and wellness. We're on Phoenix Fitness Fanatics. So when you're getting yourself ready to write, like what is it that you do to just really kind of find that balance and that self-care for Gail? What does that look like for you?
I meditate on a daily basis. I
Mm,
have to do it before my day gets started. I have to sit. I try to sit outside and put some sun on my face because I love when the sun kisses my face. And
yeah.
so then I sit there and I'm meditating and I'm communicating back and forth with the Lord, and I'm trying to release and let go of some of the stress and the triggers that send me off on a whirlwind. So I'm constantly in the process of meditating. I journal a lot. I sit still, and sometimes even in the midst of chaos, I'm still meditating. And then I sometimes, if the meditation won't do it, I'll go for a nice long walk. And
Yeah.
if the walk won't do it,
Um,
sex is always on the menu. So, it's
Hence
why
having
lie?
the dessert
Why
novellas
lie?
around. Hey, right? But you know what? We have to look at that even on a health perspective. Our sexual health is also part of it all. You have to
Definitely.
do certain things. You can't just be stagnant in that
Yep.
area.
Yep.
Because if you're stagnant in that area, that's when you start having health issues.
It shows up
Mm,
in the body. It,
It
it
does.
really,
It
it
does.
really does. And
Hmm.
it even makes you somewhat hesitant of doing an assortment of other things. So you
Right.
have to, you have to get that release. Uh,
Right.
I'm not sure how some people get it, but there must be a release, because if you do not address certain health issues, they show back up in
You will.
other areas of your life and in your body. So
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, and even that release, it's an energy release, and
yes.
it is always, you have the feel good hormones, right? So just
Mhm.
like working out,
Mhm.
when you work out, you have that dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins, all those things. So, it's the same thing with sex, it's an exercise. So
Mhm.
you want to put that in as much as you can. So I definitely love that you use that as that self-care. I should probably do it a little more for myself as well. Stop being so doggone busy. So
Well, I understand. I never knew, or I have a lot of friends that are not active, and it's showing up in certain areas in their lives. It
right,
makes some things sort of stagnant, even their mind, even mentally.
right.
Their mind is somewhat stagnant in certain areas. And I understand and I appreciate, because everybody has circumstances and situations. But if by
Mhm.
chance you are afforded the luxury to work out those unresolved issues, have at it.
Exactly.
Hey.
So I noticed that most of your dessert novella stories, they're really funny. And like, why is it that you add so much humor into your stories?
Oh, I love laughing. Especially in the sexual arena. I love laughing because then it lowers the guard and you have no shame to offer. Both of you are two, three, or more imperfect beings that are merging together as one. And if by chance you are looking for perfection from, like, let's just say a middle-aged woman, you're looking for perfection, that ship has sailed. She's got history, she's got life, she's got illnesses, she's got trauma that's stored up in her body. So if by chance you happen to be looking for perfection, she's not that person. But if by chance you want to enjoy yourself and encounter someone, and you just want to have some fun, and you're trying to make that bond, that connection, and laughter is the door that a lot of things walk into your life from. Some people become distracted over things that look very appealing. That's cool. I love pretty things and pretty people, but I want someone of substance, and I need to know that you can laugh at yourself, and we can laugh together, and that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'll, just listening to, some of the stories that we listen to, some together and even, some by myself, because there was a few, I was like, oh, I gotta listen to more. I gotta listen to this, and I love to laugh myself. And I think, having that humor piece in there, it adds a sense of, being a sense of comfortability. You just feel more at ease, when you are in that, type of situation. I mean, maybe you're a little insecure, but if you add humor, that those insecurities go away and you start being more open. So, I really love how you've put that together. And again, I've laughed so much with some of them, and I was grasping pearls and things, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, did she just say?
Well, in doing my dessert novella podcast is totally different than just sitting down and writing the book, because I'm trying to bring the crowd and bring the audience in. So therefore, I have to animate and I have to assume all of these personalities, good, bad, and indifferent. But I find myself, I love being the villain. I love that. I was like, oh, yes. It's like I'm putting on a designer suit and I'm like, oh, yeah, baby, we can do this. What we doing today? What we doing today? Who we hurting? All right. So I love that. And I love when I listen back to my recordings of myself, I'm sitting there like, I can't believe I said that. Oh well.
Right.
Yeah. So I had to develop this thing. I have no shame to offer you. If you want some shame and someone to be unsure of themselves and what it is they are doing, I'm not that chick.
Yeah.
I get to be an author. And out of all the things under the sun that the Lord could have given me or made me aware that I possess the skill set to do, he said, you are a storyteller. And I was kicking and screaming. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not a storyteller. I didn't go to school for, all of the other stuff. But now that I have made peace what it is that I do, I love my craft, and I have no shame to offer you. And I have nothing but I have a demented sense of humor some days. And some days I'm somewhat of an oddball, but I'm all of those. I'm a million different people. And you never know which aspect of me is going to show up inside of my Dessert Novella podcast. It just depends on what's going on in the story.
So what made you want to get into the whole podcast arena? Because you go from a lot of authors are very introverted and just like to just, kind of write, just put it out there. So to be on a podcast, you are definitely putting yourself more out there. What made you get into that arena?
My agent had mentioned to me one day, we were talking on the phone or something, and she said, have you ever given thought to doing a podcast? You have $1 million voice. I started laughing hysterically at this woman. I was like, girl, please, I'm a Southerner, baby. I hear my Southern twang some days. And I said, I don't hear what you hear. She said, we need to start prepping you because you're going to be doing a podcast. I said, I will hire someone to do a podcast. And she said, no, you will not. She said, no one is going to be getting name recognition and achieve the success off of your stories. No one but you will be doing it. And I was like, girl, I don't read well out loud. She said, you're not reading. You're just recanting. You're telling the story.
Right.
And I was like, well, she said, do you have to refer to anybody for your stories? I said, no, I made them all up. I know all the intricate details. She said, well, then we're just going to practice. And so I just kept sitting there. It took me months to find my rhythm. Yeah. And then once I found it, I was like, oh, I can do this. I never gave it any thought because I've had people talk about my verbiage and my voice all my life because I am a Southerner. I am from Mississippi. So, sometimes certain words will have that little additional twang kick in it. And, but all my friends, they love it. So
Yeah.
I sat down, started recording my stories. I had to send them to an engineer for someone to polish them up. But other than that, I just decided, why not? Let me
Yeah.
tell you of these funny little out funny little encounters in the sexual arena. So that's why I decided to do it. So,
And you do have that $1,000,000 voice. I mean, there is no no ifs, ands, but you have it. You have it. I mean, just listening to it, it's like that first one I listened to, I was like, man, listen to
well,
this
thank you. Thank
sultry
you.
old voice, like, man. But yeah, you definitely do. So you are in the, the right arena. Now what has been the biggest challenge for you in, through this journey?
Of being an author or time management. I still have a family, although my kids are grown. I still have a family and a husband. So I'm a consummate juggler. The sideshow theme from the circus is always playing in my head, because it's like, oh, here we go at the big top again. I got to cook dinner. I have a podcast I need to do. I need to make an entry of blah, blah, blah. I need to do this. I need to do that. So I'm constantly juggling. And some days I feel like I live in the circus. So it has been challenging, but as I'm sitting here talking to you now, after all those years, I wouldn't trade it for anything under the sun. I'm doing what I was meant to do, even though I didn't believe it at first, but I am doing what I was meant to do. So,
Oh, I love it. So we're going to cut to one more quick commercial break. Then I want to come back and talk to you just a little bit more about just kind of the inspiration, and we're going to talk a little bit about family and just kind of your support that you've had in this as well.
okay.
Be right back.
Okay.
And we're back. Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine with our Authors Network Spotlight with our naughty erotic architect, Miss Gale Rucker, aka Camille, St. Charles, Mississippi. So, Gail, being an author, I know it could be a lot. And sometimes we don't necessarily get the support that we maybe need. What does your support network look like for you?
I have a husband who I bore a lot of times with all of my crazy comments, and I'll walk in there because he's watching westerns, and I'll go in there and say, "Hey, what do you think about such and such and such?" And he's just like, "What?" I said, "What do you think?" He said, "If you like it, I like it." No, no, no. Tell me, what do you think? And we battle it out. And then if I can't get him to get on board, I'll call my daughter because my kids are my number one fans. And I have a couple of really close friends that walk with me on this journey. And it's nice to know that I have a support system because I can call and say, "Hey, you know what? I need to talk to you about one of my books. I need to bounce some ideas off of somebody else," because you become jaded, and because it's you and it's your world. You can do because I'm a world builder. You know, I'm speaking all of these things into existence inside my book. So, but sometimes I need to hear it or let somebody else hear it to see if it sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's some words of wisdom or encouragement that you can give to some of the up and coming authors that are, just kind of on the edge, trying to figure it out, trying to, they maybe have that story and they just don't know, what what can you give them?
Jump, jump, get on
Yeah.
out. If this is what you are going to do, because it might not be for everybody. Because I was just going to write one story and just kill my character off, and that was going to be it. But if this is what you are going to do, give yourself wholeheartedly. Jump in, it's a faith walk. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't like to talk about it, but it is definitely a faith walk, because you're sitting there looking at everybody else go on with their life and all of these pre-planned things, and your slate is blank. It's like, I know where I'm going. It's just I've got to get there, and the
Yeah.
destination and the journey, they don't even look like each other. They don't even look like friends. It's like, I know I'm on this journey, but this is my destination. So I've got to go through all these different landscapes, all these highs and lows to get to my desired destination. So if I can offer you one thing, just do it. Jump and stay the course. If you are going to get on this course, be committed.
Yeah.
Now, because sometimes you have to write every day. I had to hone my craft. It
Yeah.
didn't come like that. I had to pick it up every day and polish it. I just had to keep polishing it and be like, well, I know what I'm saying in my head, but when
Hmm.
I try to deliver it, speak it out, sometimes it's totally different. So that comes from knowing yourself, knowing what it is you bring to the table and your skill set. So just keep going and just stay the course. Even though it's going to be a different, if the Lord would have told me all of the highs and lows that I would have experienced being an author, I might not have jumped.
Yeah.
But I was assured from God. What is that song? Blessed assurance. I was assured that it's going to work out well.
Yeah.
And after all of the arguments I kept presenting to the Lord, and He said, it's going to be fine. It's going to work out well. I promise you. I had no more arguments. I surrendered. I was like, okay, God, okay. And then I have to constantly keep going back and referring now. Like, wait a minute now, God, you did tell me, right? Just a gentle reminder. And it's more so for me. It's not for the Lord. It's for me, because sometimes I become distracted and not making and doing all the things that I have dreamt, because some people call it overnight success, but you don't know how long people have towed that one road just to get to where they are. You don't know the slings and the arrows that were presented to them, especially from
Mhm.
family members that you
Mhm.
thought were your support system. You're like, what? Because
Right.
you're being an unconventional person. You're walking down the road that not too many people have the stamina and the strength and the moral fortitude to do it, because you have to
Mhm.
deal with a lot of your own. You have to entertain your own demons in order to get past them to keep moving forward. Y'all got to have a group meeting. We gotta have to have a meeting of the minds. I ain't got time for you right now. I'll deal with you later. I got something to do.
That's
So
right.
you got to entertain them. And if you have to tap dance in front of them so they can just let you pass, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. That's what we're doing today. We tap dance, and that's all you need. Okay. Have at it.
Love it. So, Gail, can you tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, how they can, purchase your books, um, and just be able to get to work with you if they want to work with you?
If you want to work with me, if you desire to contact me and see what it is I do, go visit my book's website, and it's at www.camillestcharlesmississippi.com. And from there, you can, as soon as you step into my website, you can go there. I have another series of books that I write. It's called the R series, rated R for Roxanne. And I have another series that's coming out another month or so. But go to my book's website. You can go there and read an excerpt, or you can go listen to my Dessert Novella podcast. It's like 25 different desserts. So you just pick a pretty picture or a name of a dessert, click the link, and it's going to take you there. And it's going to tell you to have a seat and strap yourselves in, because you're getting ready to go for a naughty little ride. So you can encounter my character Roxanne in the R series. You can encounter aspects of me in my Dessert Novella Sweets cookbook. All of these are on Amazon. And also, if you want a slice of me, also, you can pick up Becoming a Girl Powerhouse. You can stop there, get the book. You can read my offering inside of it, and you can see what's going on inside my world and why I am such a fascinating individual.
Love it. And look, Gail, we're gonna have you back on again because we want to dig into the R series, and we're also going to come back to talk about the Coffee Fairytales.
Yeah, the upcoming Coffee Fairytales. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I
So
welcome that.
y'all will be seeing our naughty erotic architect again, talking about some of her other work that is going to be coming out. So Gail, thank you so much for joining me today for our Authors Network Spotlight. This has just been an amazing conversation. I just really enjoy having you in my life, and you have definitely added that spark that I need. And y'all out there, if you need a spark, definitely go to Gail's website. Go to the Camille St. Charles, Mississippi.com and grab you guys some of that spark. Okay, everyone, have an amazing day. Happy Tuesday, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.